This is the March 18th interview with Ruth Hawley. She's the granddaughter of William Allhand Lynch. She's talking about the memories of her uncles, and today she's talking about Harry Lynch, who is in the second family from the second wife of Arvilla Foreman. So, Ruth, what can you tell me about your memories of Harry Lynch?
Well, only what I've heard from Aunt Mabel and Aunt Carrie. Um, uh, Harry was the first one of the family to be taken over by the older kids and sent off to college, that he could go to college. And he was the first one to do that. And then after him followed Clyde and Eva, and all three of them graduated from college. But Harry was a smart, very bright, and the older brothers and sisters saw to it that the money was available for him to get his education.
Where did he go to college?
State University there in Lincoln. There, by that time, Grandma was living in Lincoln, there in University Place, and or not. Well, yeah, I guess it was Uni Place, and my father was a thriving businessman at the time. He had his automobile agency in Omaha, and by that time the family was, they were all very prosperous. And so the last three of their own brothers and sisters by Arvilla were educated. Aunt Mabel, she was number one baby. She was sent off to 6 weeks of training school.
Yeah, we've already talked about Mabel, so let's stick
anyway,
with Harry. What is the age difference between Harry and your father then?
Well, not very long, maybe 5 years.
Okay.
But the last three of the children were educated in college by the others, mainly my father and Uncle Ray.
Okay.
He was a very prosperous man. He had all these insurance companies and owned quite a sizable amount of land up around Valparaiso and all that sort of thing. And he owned a beer parlor that was running there. And
so Harry went to college. What did he major in?
Well, he studied to be a dentist.
Mm-hmm.
He went to dental college, and he managed to graduate in spite of his being a ladies' man, and his mind was on fun and frolic more than anything. But he was enough. He knew with the brothers backing him and sending him off, he did knuckle down and get his grades, and he got to be a very prosperous dentist and a good success to it.
And so he ran his dental business in Lincoln.
Well, he started there in where the Clyde had his land oh goodness me, it's where we went to live with Uncle Clyde when
Sydney?
No.
Well, anyway, that's okay. It'll come to you.
Well,
so not in Lincoln. Okay.
No, but he did that kind. I have to remember the name of that area where the last where they Harry started his practice there at
Valparaiso.
Well, it was where Clyde had his land.
Okay.
There, his big ranches, and he ran his dental business from that area.
And Clyde got married. Who did Clyde marry?
Well, this is.
Harry. Harry married.
He married a girl from the deep south by the name of Nettie Clare, and she was a daughter of a wealthy Southern gentleman, and she was raised with a Negro mammy and servants and all that good stuff that was taken out from under her, and she was very much of a Southern lady. And they had their two kids. The oldest one was Jack, and he visited me here 6 weeks ago. He's one of the few remaining, him and his sister, only members left of my family now. And Jack followed in his father's footsteps. He also uh, got to be a dentist.
Hmm. Okay, going back to Harry. Do you have any personal memories of Harry?
Well, everybody liked him. He was a very personable and kind and gentle, mild mannered, and he was a very good husband and father. And he was a credit to his name. And he left Big Springs. That's the name of the place. So he left Big Springs when Clyde's uh, empire sort of it dwindled out when Mickey took over. Uh, but Big Springs is where we all met there at Clyde's Ranch, and Uncle Harry had his office at the time in a great big home on Main Street, and that's where he. Uh, there was just such terrible hard times, and people just even being a dentist outside of pulling a tooth, and then most half the time or more of the time people couldn't even pay him. There just wasn't any money available. But then he eventually moved up where Clyde had his other ranch in a different area where he had a nice business for himself there
Hmm.
in a different area.
Did you ever go? You went ever go and visit them in?
Oh yes, Big Springs was only about 50 miles, or maybe a little over that, from where we had our ranch, where we were living there at Sidney, Nebraska. And there was all those little towns, and that was where Uncle Clyde had his big land holdings there for years, and
Hmm.
he hired a crew of people to work for him. That it was a very large operation, and so we all the family that was a gathering place there at Clyde's,
Hmm.
uh, and we had many wonderful times there.
And Harry was there as well.
Oh yes, he came
Okay.
in.
So
The ranch
in
was
big
only a couple miles out of town.
so in Big Springs, then you had Uncle Clyde and you had your Uncle Harry,
Yeah,
and they
Uncle Harry, the times were so bad and people couldn't pay, and to keep his sanity, he took up golfing. So then that was the passion of his life was golfing. I don't know how long it lasted, but at Big Springs there was just nothing left for him to do.
Hmm.
He'd sat there in that office with no activity. The office was in the front part of their house, a very nice setup because it was a big house, and the front part had the office set up with all his equipment and everything that the family pulled together so that he had all that
Hmm.
stuff.
and
And he even made sets of teeth. He had and he was a very good dentist. People have, he had the equipment to put that some kind of a klein or oven that he could put these false teeth together, and he made them,
hmm
which is an unheard of thing even for back then. He was very capable and very talented in his work. And Aunt Nettie Claire, I know times were so hard she took up some kind of a salesman job and went from door to door selling something, socks or something. I don't know. Maybe it was some sort of clothing item. Uh, but she didn't do that only just a very short time because it didn't pay. But I know they had help from Clyde. Uh, he also had some land that he was farming that because everything was very cheap, and he had a farm that he collected hail insurance on
hmm
every year because Brother Clyde had, and there was hail,
hmm
but and that was their. It wasn't anything crooked or anything like that because he got hailed up, and he
Yeah.
had the land and he had the hail insurance taken
Yeah.
up with his brother Ray and brother Clyde. They
Okay.
were together on the hail
So
insurance.
when did your Uncle Harry die? Do you
Well,
remember?
he visited me when we lived there, and when we came back from England, Maybe
Around 1960 or
about
so?
25 years ago, maybe.
Oh, no, more than 25 years ago. That'd be 1975
Well,
or
he lived
1980.
on. He went in and he started up his dental practice there in Scotts Bluff. That's where he moved to after everything dissolved there at Big Springs, and he moved to Scotts Bluff. And we visited him once, and he lived there on our trip to California when Rex was in the military.
Okay.
And we stayed with him, and he kicked my teeth for me. Of course, it was all free because I was his niece. He took me down to his office mainly to show me things. It was just because there really wasn't anything wrong with my teeth, but I had him check them. And we had a nice time there. Laura was a teenager then. She was, that's her
Are you
daughter.
talking about Jack or are you talking
Jack.
about Harry?
Well, I'm talking about my Uncle Harry.
Okay.
Because Jack was on his own, because by that time their son Jack had gotten his training as a dentist. And I think he was in college at that time.
Okay, that's right. Okay, well, I think that's all the time we have for Harry Lynch. So we'll stop the interview and we'll come back to it later if we need to.